let's analyze this. So, NXT Takeover Phoenix is coming up. It'll be January 26th, 2019, so that's later on tonight because I'm recording this at damn near 3:30 in the morning. So it'll be at the Talking Stick Resort Arena. My God, that has to be one of the silliest names I have ever heard for an arena ever. Up there with Little Caesars Arena. I don't know, that's just ridiculous. It'll be the 23rd overall show held under the Takeover banner, and the first to be held in 2019. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. As you see here, we got the quote-unquote so-called co-main events for the show. NXT World Championship match between champion Tommaso Ciampa and number one contender Aleister Black. And then we have the NXT Women's Championship match between defending champ Shayna Baszler and number one contender, the undefeated Bianca Belair. Alright. So here's the full match card here. Just gonna do a quick rundown and give my predictions of each match so far. Obviously, we expect some sort of pre-show match, possibly. I don't know what that pre-show match is gonna look like. Kind of sucks they don't have Adam Cole on this show. He's just probably gonna be ringside for the tag title match. But so let's go through it from bottom to the top. And by bottom to the top, I mean from 5 to 1 here. So we got Matt Riddle and Kassius Ohno, which, if the card is going to just look like this with just these 5 matches, I expect this match to open the show. This Matt Riddle and Kassius Ohno feud, I'm not too into it, to be quite frank. It doesn't interest me that much. They've had good matches against each other. They have a good chemistry, and everything is physical when it comes to those two, and I like that. Kassius Ohno, he has to be one of the most underwhelming talents in the history of not wrestling as a whole, but in the history of WWE. Because when he first got signed to NXT back in, I believe it was 2012, like NXT had just became the NXT that we know today, where it went from reality show, shitty reality show, to an actual brand with championships, storylines, and classic matches with elite talent. Back when he signed back then, I was really excited. I was looking forward to his run the most. And I said to myself, okay, it's only a matter of time before he gets called up to the main roster. They put him with Cesaro, and the Kings of Wrestling reunite. Because the Kings of Wrestling is arguably one of the most underrated tag teams in the history of wrestling, in my view. And then it never happened. And then he got fired. And I said to myself, damn. Well, fuck it. It is what it is. It happens. And I was like, alright, so maybe they will, I guess, try to do something with Cesaro now, since he's gonna definitively be on his own. And we all know that didn't really happen, because they tried that, but they put him with Paul Heyman, had him win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the first one, body slammed Big Show out of the ring, and they went nowhere with it. Why? I have no idea. Vince said that he doesn't connect with the fans, which I don't know what weed Vince was smoking when he said that, or what other drugs he might have been possibly taking, or maybe Vince went blind for a few months, or maybe deaf for a few months. I don't know what it was, but in 2014, Cesaro was the second most over wrestler in the company other than Dean Ambrose. And I don't really count Bryan because he only wrestled up until about late April. And then he got hurt and had to have the surgery. But I'm talking in 2014 from top to bottom, Cesaro, you could argue, was the second most over wrestler on the roster besides Dean Ambrose. Especially when Seth Rollins did the heel turn and the Shield split up. So how is he not connecting? I mean, if he's over, he's connecting. Just saying. So that was weird. But anyway, back to Kassius Ohno. I'm trailing way off. Kassius Ohno, then they brought him back. They brought him back, I believe, was it early 2017? Late 2016? Because he was only gone from the company about 2 years, 3 years. He went back to the Indies, came back, and he had put on some weight. Actually, he had put on some weight when he initially left, but then when he came back, he had definitely put on some weight. And when I first saw him, I said to myself, well, I don't know what happened to him. It looks like he hasn't wrestled in years. And then I read up on him, and I see that he never took time off. So I'm wondering, how the hell did this motherfucker gain so much weight? He didn't even take any time off. Kassius Ohno is strange, man. He's strange. It's a strange thing with Kassius Ohno because he's so talented and he can go. And no matter how much weight he puts on, he still has very good conditioning. And it shows. But it's like, damn, dude, you can't be... That's the thing. The problem with Ohno is that he plays with his weight. And it constantly fluctuates. That's his issue. His weight constantly fluctuates. You know, one week he's huge and ginormous, and next week he just has a little tummy. And when it comes to the WWE, man, when it comes to those people in Stamford, you can't be playing with your weight. I got 2 examples of how you can't be playing with your weight. Look what happened with Big Show. I believe it was late 99. No, not late 99. It was late 2000, early 01. They sent Big Show down to OVW. No, actually, no. My bad. It was late 01, early 02 because he actually missed WrestleMania 18. He didn't miss 17. Because 17 was the triple threat for the hardcore title with him, Raven, and Kane. So it was actually late 01. It was shortly after the invasion. They sent Big Show down to OVW. And the biggest reason they sent him, no pun intended, the biggest reason they sent him down to OVW was because Big Show started getting fat. Like, just straight up fat. And it was out of control. And it was to the point where Big Show couldn't do shit in the ring. It was bad to the point where he looked like Andre the Giant did in his last couple of years in the WWE. Like, it was that bad. That's how slow Big Show was. That's how limited Big Show was. And you don't believe me? Look this up. And check out Big Show interviews where he talks about this. And he talks about how Undertaker would chew him up about it. How he would just yell at him about him playing with his weight. So that's a prime example. You know, they sent him down to OVW. He had to drop the weight, get in a little bit of better shape, and he came back better than ever. Now, the difference between Big Show and Kassius Ohno is that Ohno is not in his prime anymore. He's nearing 40. When Big Show had problems with his weight, he was in his late 30s, late 20s. I said in his late 30s. He was in his early 30s, late 20s. So he was still in the prime of his career. And Big Show came back and made up for that little bit of time that he lost being in OVW. He made up for it big time by having classic feuds with Lesnar and Angle. You know, being that steady utility guy for the company, that giant. And now he's arguably the greatest giant of all time for some people. Me, I got Undertaker. But Kassius Ohno, I expect him to win this match. I believe he'll win. And it's a shame because, now they're saying that Ohno is pretty much a so-called player coach for NXT. That he's never going to get called up to the main roster, and he's going to spend the rest of his career down in NXT until he retires. And when he retires, he'll immediately go into the PC and become one of the trainers there. And that's basically telling us we will never see Kings of Wrestling again, which sucks. I expect Ohno to win. I think it's going to be a quick match. I expect it to go about 10 minutes, tops. It's an opener, solid opener to get the crowd going. The crowd is going to be going regardless because it's a takeover and it's NXT, so of course. All right, next match. Ricochet and Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. Boy. When they teased this match first, when they had Ciampa tease this match, I got super excited. I probably got way too excited. I had to contain myself, honestly. This is going to be match of the night for me. This is just going to be match of the night for me because this is a wrestling fan's dream right here. Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano. Ricochet is the most talented wrestler that I've seen since AJ Styles. Since AJ Styles, when AJ was in his prime in TNA. And then before that, it was RVD. And then before that, it was Brian Pillman. Ricochet is awesome. He's just awesome, man. That dude can fly. And you can also make an argument that Will Ospreay is the most talented overall. Both of them, the most talented overall in wrestling. But Ricochet is just special, man. I watched him when he was Prince Puma in Lucha Underground, and he never failed to amaze me. Classic rivalry with Johnny Mundo, the all-night match, the all-night long match in season 1 of Lucha Underground. Classic. Ricochet has been around for about 10 years, I believe now. Maybe even more than that. A little more than that, possibly. Since the late 2000s, he's been in the sport. My only thing is that Ricochet is going to eventually have to tone down the style that he's doing because he is 30 now, and that type of style does not guarantee you longevity in wrestling. So, and his knees might explode on him. One bad ACL tear or Achilles tendon tear, and it's over. Like, he will immediately begin to slow down. The same way Seth Rollins did when he came back in 2016. Seth Rollins was a lot slower, but he made up for it by gaining more muscle and getting physically bigger. Ricochet might have to do the same thing, so I expect him within the next year or two to just slow down. He has to slow down because you can do all of the training for your knees and your legs as much as you want. Human anatomy is still a human anatomy. You're not a robot. You're not a cyborg. You're a human anatomy at the end of the day, so he has to be careful on that. I expect this to be match of the night. This is going to be a classic. There's going to be a lot of counters. The storytelling is going to be top notch. A lot of near falls. Both men are just absolute pros. They're at the very top of their games right now, not just physically but mentally. And like I said, I fully expect it to be match of the night, and I expect it to go about 20 to 25 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if it went a half an hour. And I expect Johnny to get the title, actually. I actually want to see him win the championship, because he has to get some gold at some point here in NXT. And I could see the DIY reunion will happen. It's just a matter of when. Whether it be shortly after Mania, or the summer, or the fall, or towards the end of the year, the DIY will reunite. They've been teasing it and giving subtle hints for too long at this point. So Johnny Gargano to win the NXT North American Championship is going to be a classic. I'm very much looking forward to it, and hopefully I will be home to watch Takeover Phoenix live. All right, next for the NXT Tag Team titles, you got the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy defending against the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe. I like to call the Undisputed Era this generation's NWO, but hopefully they won't add more members to the Undisputed Era and then ruin the Undisputed Era like WCW did with the NWO back in the day. This is going to be an okay match. The War Raiders are very talented. They're a very talented tag team. I don't know much of their work, but I saw their performance at Takeover War Games when they were all in that War Games match. And the War Raiders were they were beasts. They were straight beasts. Not a lot of people mentioned it, but to me, that War Games match was the War Raiders coming out party, as opposed to Ricochet doing Cirque du Ricochet, as Mauro Ranallo likes to say it. To me, it was mainly the War Raiders. It was the War Raiders show, that match. Go back and watch that match and tell me what I didn't say is not the truth. Because the War Raiders were just awesome. They were just really good. But I don't know. This match is a tough one for me. I feel like I want the Undisputed Era to continue as tag champions, because eventually I want to see everybody hold titles. Now, who is going to become North American champion? That's tough. That's a tough call. Adam Cole already had the title. He had it last year. He was the first champion. I expect Adam Cole to become NXT champion, NXT World Champion, by either the summer or by the end of the year. Because Adam Cole just has that cool it factor. He's he just has that swag. And on top of that, he's really good in the ring. So I wouldn't mind seeing the War Raiders win the tag titles, but I'm going for the Undisputed Era, because I like the UE. I like the UE. They're very, like I said, it's possible that they could be the NWO done right in terms of long-term booking, as opposed to what WCW did, where the whole freaking roster was part of the NWO. It was ridiculous. My only gripe is that if they ever get called up to the main roster, Vince's that's the thing, this company, man, especially Vince, it's so obvious, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why people don't see this. Why fans cannot see this. Vince does not like factions. He does not like groups. So this whole shock when these factions and these groups split up, the fans they act so surprised, and it's like, what did you expect? Vince does not like groups. Isn't that not obvious? What group has Vince McMahon given birth to not literally, but given birth to, that has lasted over 3 years, besides the New Day. But the New Day makes money for him. That's why he won't break them up. Otherwise, he would have broke them up like 2 years ago. Evolution only lasted not even 3 years. They lasted 2.5 years. DX, in their original run, and by original run, I don't mean when it was just Triple H, Shawn, Chyna, and Rick Rude. I'm talking about when it was them, and then when Rick Rude left, and then when Shawn left, and then they added Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, and X-Pac. That DX from 97 to 2000, to me, that's the original DX. But look at that, 97 to 2000, only lasted 3 years. The Shield only lasted 1.5 years. The Nation of Domination only lasted 1.5 years. You know? You understand what I'm saying? The Nexus only lasted a year. The Core only lasted like 6 months. And yet fans still act shocked when these factions and groups and teams split up. Why? Why are y'all shocked? Now, the Four Horsemen, the original Four Horsemen, they were able to last, but that was NWA WCW. That's why. The Fabulous Freebirds, that was WCW, WCCW. Those weren't Vince's creations. That's why they lasted long. So it's very obvious that Vince McMahon does not like factions like that, because none of these factions last long. Literally, the longest standing faction to have lasted in WWE history is the New Day. And that's only because they make Vince a lot of money. They make the company a lot of money. With merchandise, the Booty-O cereal, even though I never bought one. I never even seen one in the supermarket here in New York. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, factions don't last long. So Undisputed Era might not last long. That's all I'm saying. So when they split up, can we please not act so shocked about it? Because Vince doesn't like factions, and it's very evident. You name me one faction besides the New Day that lasted more than 3 years. You can't. It is what it is. So Undisputed Era to retain. 2 more matches to go. Let's go. Because now I gotta get ready to predict the Royal Rumble. So Shayna Baszler defends the NXT Women's Championship against Bianca Belair. Shayna's been a great champion. A lot of people say that she shouldn't have lost to Kairi Sane. Like, they shouldn't have traded the title back and forth when they did in their little feud. It didn't bother me that much, honestly. Even though their matches were, their matches were hit or miss. I thought that their TakeOver Brooklyn match was their best out of the 3. I'm not counting the Mae Young Classic, but out of the 3, that's the TakeOver Brooklyn match, the Evolution match, and then the 2 out of 3 Falls match at TakeOver War Games. Out of those 3 matches, out of that trilogy, I thought their TakeOver Brooklyn one was the best. The 2 out of 3 Falls match was way too quick. It was only like 12 minutes. It was too rushed. It was nothing but spot, finish. It was just I couldn't even get into the match. Not one time did I get into the match. They immediately rushed big moment after big moment, which TakeOver War Games, majority of that show felt like that. It felt like a lot of the matches were rushed. None of them really had any psychology to it. None of them had any building of pace. I did not get the sense of that at all during that show. I would say with the exception of the War Games match. None of the other matches felt well paced. A lot of them felt too fast. Shayna Baszler has been a great champion, though. I'm not gonna get into the issue with the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen. I'll save that for another day. But I got something. I got some gripes. Y'all grinding my gears right now about this 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen bullshit, and calling the MMA horsewomen false or fake horsewomen. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. Not the fact that they say that, but the reason as to why fans call the MMA horsewomen the ponies or the phonies. But that's another video for another day. Bianca Belair, I don't feel like she was ready for this match. Now, I'm not going to be like every fan on Twitter and call her overrated, because as of right now, nobody in this company is overrated. Nobody. For a little period of time, it was Alexa Bliss, but she was out of action for pretty much damn near all of the second half of 2018. So, I'm not gonna... Nobody's overrated right now in this company. If you think somebody's overrated, I mean, that's good and all, but you might have to sit down and question your thinking and your analysis of the WWE, because we gotta have 3D thinking. We have to have an elite level of understanding, and most importantly, we have to have a non-bias. In order for the mainstream media and those who aren't wrestling fans, in order for them to take us seriously, we have to grow the fuck up. We have to grow the fuck up and be able to talk about this sport we love in a respectful manner, as opposed to calling somebody insecure for disagreeing with us. It's not cool. This is why the mainstream media can't take us seriously. This is why a lot of wrestlers can't take us seriously, because we get super emotional and super biased about everything. Every little thing. To the point where they laugh at us. And they go, this is why we can't take you or what you watch seriously, because you're the joke. But I'm here to hopefully change that, because I am not a joke. I'm a proud wrestling fan and have been for almost 20 years. And I will be damned if I let somebody call me a joke or think of me as a joke because I'm a wrestling fan. That's why I take my personal emotions and bias and feelings out the window. And I go based on 3-dimensional thinking and what is presented in front of me. I opinionate things fairly and with a 3D perspective. That's something we all should do. We shouldn't be a so-called wrestling community. Why are we the only sport or the only form of entertainment that's called a community besides MMA? But MMA is called a community because that sport is still bastardized. But we're bastardized not because of what's on TV. We're bastardized because of how we react to what's on TV as wrestling fans, and that's the issue. That's the issue. But no other sport, there's no baseball community, there's no football community, there's no basketball community, there's no golf community, there's no hockey community. So why do we have to call ourselves a wrestling community? Because we keep ourselves in this bubble, because we know who we are, but we know how we are, and that's the issue. But when we realize how we are, like really realize it, and work to bettering ourselves from that, we will not have to be called a so-called community anymore. Guarantee you that. But anyway, Bianca Belair is improving. I don't feel like she's ready, though, for this match. I think she will do well, though. She's still very new. Her inexperience still shows. But she's very talented. She's strong. She's picking up on this. Her selling needs to be better. Her timing needs to be better. But that all comes with gaining experience. She's still young. I don't think she's even in her prime yet. She's something like 24, 25, I believe. So she's still new to the game. But she's getting better. She had a very, very good match with Nikki Cross in Nikki Cross' last match in NXT. It was a very, very good match. They went out there and I believe, when was that match? That match was, I believe, earlier this month. That is the best match I've seen in NXT for this year so far. Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. So that tells you something about her skill level, her talent, her appeal, and she carries herself with such confidence. She's going to be a star, barring injury, and barring, problems with people in the back. She's going to be a star. She's very good. She has a future ahead of her. She does need to improve, though, but she will. She will. As long as she's down in NXT for a while, she will be able to improve because you have the PC there. But I could tell that her heart is in this, and she's sincere. And Shayna has improved leaps and bounds over the last year. I've watched her all last year, all of 2018, and the criticisms against Shayna are very unfair. They call her boring, but yet these are the same people that complain about every wrestler doing a suicide dive in every match, one after the other. Those same people will say that Shayna Baszler is boring. So which one do you want? Which one do you want? Do you want the people to do the flippy flips every match or not? Shayna is an old school throwback to pretty much every 80s heel, with the exception of Honky Tonk Man, of course, because he was like borderline comedic heel. But every heel back in the 80s, especially the foreign heels, the evil foreigner heels, you wrap them all together, you put them in this generation, you add an MMA background to it, and you get Shayna Baszler. In my opinion. Shayna Baszler is good. She's gotten better. I don't mind her style, because her style is hard-hitting. Her style is, it brings you into the match. She has a psychology. Now, does she need to sell better? Yes. When Bianca Belair slapped her in NXT a couple of weeks ago, honestly, that was the first time I actually saw Shayna sell something and sell it really well. Other than that, she has not been able to sell really well. Like, when I see a Shayna Baszler match, I ask myself, am I watching Shayna wrestle, or am I watching Undertaker when he first came in wrestle? Because, when Undertaker came in, he didn't sell. Because his character was meant to not sell. He was supposed to be impervious to pain. And a lot of times that's what it seems like is going on with Shayna Baszler. But that all of that will get better with time. And to those of you who say she's only where she is because of Ronda Rousey, I'm sorry, but you're fucking stupid. Like, there's no other way of saying it. You're a moron. Shayna got signed before Ronda did. She got signed to the company before Ronda did, and she started wrestling before Ronda did. So how is she here because of Ronda again? And WWE, when they got Shayna to get into the Mae Young Classic, and when they signed her, they were not sure if they were going to get Ronda. So don't give me that whole, they knew they were going to get Ronda, so they made sure they locked Shayna in for a contract. Bullshit. They did not know that they were going to get Ronda. They were not sure. Because when Shayna got signed, Ronda was still a part of the UFC. She was still a part of the UFC. She was still contracted to the UFC. So, explain to me again how Shayna only got here because of Ronda. That's the thing. You people, certain fans don't think, man. And we got to get better with that. We got to think before we speak when it comes to this. Otherwise, we're going to be labeled a joke until the end of time. I'm telling you now. So I expect it to be a pretty good match. I don't think it's going to be great. It's going to be good enough. A lot of people want Bianca Belair to win because they find Shayna boring. I want Shayna to retain because Bianca Belair is not ready. She's not ready. This match is going to be a proving ground for her. This match is going to show that if she does well for this match, she's going to get another title shot, or excuse me, opportunity, because we can't allude to the word shot, because we can't allude to somebody possibly committing a homicide in the WWE, apparently, even though we still call the dive in between the ropes a suicide dive, but Lord of mercy, I can't say title shots. It's going to be an okay match. I expect it to go about 15 minutes, possibly 20, maybe 20. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. And I think that Shayna will retain. I actually would be shocked if Belair won the title. Alright, now the main event. Tommaso Ciampa defends the NXT Championship against Aleister Black. Ciampa is literally the best heel in the world right now. Not just in the WWE. He's the best heel in the world. Daniel Bryan is slowly creeping up in terms of being one of the best heels in the company right now. But Ciampa is the best. I like his theme song. A lot of people complained about his theme song and said that he should have never been given a theme song. He should have just kept coming out to silence. No, he should not have kept coming out to silence. That was going to wear off eventually. That was going to fade and get annoying eventually. And also, this is not the 80s when wrestlers did not have music. This is 2019. All wrestlers have music now. So, that, like, even when R-Truth had that little stint where he was coming out to no music after he turned heel in 2011, eventually they gave him music. Because him just coming out to pure silence, I mean, not silence, but coming out to no music, it was starting to get old. It was starting to get old and weird because it's not the 80s anymore. You know? At least from that perspective, like that aspect of wrestling and of characters, it just doesn't fit well with today's wrestling. That whole coming out to no music. It only works for a little bit. You know? Before somebody jumps on me in the comments and say, oh, well, you just said Shayna's a throwback to the 80s. Isn't that old? Thing is that not everybody hates it. A lot of people hate it, hate Shayna's style and the way she works, but there are a lot of people who like it as well. That's the difference. That's the difference between those two. It's going to be a great match. Aleister Black is super intense, man. When he was up on the Titantron in NXT a couple of weeks ago, and he yelled at Ciampa and he told him, I will make you fade to black. And when he said it like that, I got chills. I got chills. He was very, Aleister Black. That's one bad motherfucker, man. That's one bad motherfucker. I don't see the Undertaker comparisons, though. Let's not go that far. Nobody's ever going to do what Undertaker was able to do. Nobody's going to make the impact that Undertaker made. But Aleister Black, let Aleister Black be the first Aleister Black. And I love his entrance. He has the best entrance in wrestling right now. It's going to be a great match. I'm going to enjoy it. I just hope that it's not too fast-paced. I hope it's not too spot-oriented. And I want to see more psychology as opposed to, okay, now we got to do this. 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 Finish. All right, we're done. Because I saw a lot of that in the last takeover, with the exception of the main event. I don't know, this is a toss-up. Because I can see Black getting the title back. And I can also see Ciampa retaining as well. I'm going to lean more towards Ciampa retaining. I don't know. You know what? I would actually like to see them kind of trade the title back and forth. Not too much, but back and forth a little bit. Like the same way that Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura traded the NXT title back and forth a little bit. In, what was that? That was late 2016? Yeah. I would kind of like to see something, I would like to see something similar to that. Alright. So that's it. In terms of my predictions, once again, I got Ohno going over Riddle. I have Gargano winning the North American title. I have the Undisputed Era retaining the tag titles. I have Baszler retaining the women's title. And Ciampa and Black is a real toss-up. I can't really give my concrete prediction on who's going to win that match. Johnny could interfere and help Ciampa retain, and then you have a DIY reunion. Or Johnny could come out, cost Ciampa the match. Who knows? Because even though they've been heavily teasing a DIY reunion, it's still not really official. So, NXT Takeover Phoenix is going to be the bomb. Is going to be lit. We all know that. Because these takeovers never disappoint. And I'm going to make sure I try to watch it live. So I'm out.